Hello, everybody. Welcome to Vida Tennis, the podcast for those of us who eat, sleep, breathe tennis. My name is Jennifer Gelhaus, and I'm your host. Today, I'm talking to Rich Neher. Those of us in the tennis industry know Rich from his incredibly popular free monthly email newsletter called Tennis Club Business, which goes out to over 10,000 tennis professionals all around the world with curated opinions from top tennis professionals, news, trends, and conversations dedicated to tennis club owners, managers, and tennis pros. Tennis Club Business has been published since 2014, and their mission is to help clubs and professionals grow the sport of tennis and at the same time hold the USTA's feet to the fire. Rich is also the president and founder of Conga Sports, a network of affiliated pros and clubs that welcome players of all levels to provide them with exciting and inexpensive programming. He was the executive director of the California Social Tennis Network, general manager for the Toluca Lake Tennis Center, and he's originally from Germany. Welcome, Rich. Did I get all of that right? I feel like I might have missed some things.
So there's only one thing that may be interesting about me, and this is I worked on the USTA Tennis Link team for a bunch of years as the team lead for NTRP ratings and adult leagues. And that was important to know because it shaped my business that I formed, and it shaped my opinion about the USTA a little.
Yeah. But congrats on the success of Tennis Club Business. I mean, 10,000 readers, that's no small feat. How did the idea for the newsletter start? Did you imagine that it would become as popular as it is today?
No, I did not. I had started early with writing newsletters. In the early 90s, I moved from Philadelphia to the San Diego area and became a member of the Bobby Riggs Tennis Club in Encinitas, which is just north of San Diego. And I traded the services. I became a member, and for my membership fee, I traded producing their newsletter, writing and producing their newsletter. And that's how it started. And then I wrote for other publications until 2014 when I started my own. I wrote for Inside Tennis, for instance, and others.
Ah, okay. And about how many people open your newsletter? Do you know? Do you have any stats that you can share with us?
I have the stats from March, and I just put them on my Facebook page and LinkedIn and everywhere.
Oh, okay.
We have a 52% open rate.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. Very few bounces and no complaints. And so I'm very happy about this. Of course, in our business, in the newsletter business, the open rate is directly proportional to your subject line. So you always want to make sure that the subject line is interesting enough so people open it.
Yeah.
For instance, if I say in the subject line something like, tennis is all good and we are growing and everyone's happy, my open rate may be 15%. If I say USTA buildings in Lake Nona burned to the ground, everyone dead, and my open rate would be 80%. It's
right.
just the two extremes.
Of course. And you must get so many emails from readers, I can imagine.
Yeah. And so many of those readers are tennis professionals, tennis directors, club owners, and a whole bunch of USTA staffers in the headquarters and in the sections as well.
Oh, interesting. So I wanted to ask you, I have to ask you about, that part of your mission statement regarding holding the USDA's feet to the fire. What does that mean to you, and why is that important to the newsletter?
Yeah. There is this, I don't want to call it conspiracy, but there is this understanding of all the publications in this industry. Tennis.com, Tennis Magazine, which is now just tennis.com, the racket sports industry, Inside Tennis, and others, and all the newsletters that are directly involved with the USTA, they will never report anything that is not absolutely positive about this organization. Mm-hmm. So when I found out that things are not what they seem at the USTA, I started to look into this a little bit more, and I learned things. Like, for instance, they have a debt of 726 million. Over 140 million or so are due this year, notes that are due to be repaid. So this is something you will not find in any other magazine, but I think people should know about this because it shows you that the reckless spending that's going on in the USDA or has been going on in the USDA in the past years has had consequences.
Yeah.
And this money has to be repaid. And with USDA, with US Open profits that are very slim alone, you can't. So they are in a conundrum, and I think people should know about this.
Absolutely. Do you feel like the newsletter has had an impact on, I don't know, any USDA decisions or the perception so far as you can tell?
Yeah, it has, not on a national level, because on a national level, the motto has been given out in the, I think it was the 2018 or 2019 annual meeting, where Kurt Kemperman and Gordon Smith gave out the motto in regards to my newsletter. They said, ignore the noise. So do not reply, do not engage, do not answer questions, just ignore it. This is a national level. On the sectional level, it looks a little bit different. One of our mottos is empower the powerless. So we encourage section staff to come forward if they have some serious complaints about section leadership or anything else that's happening in the section that is not kosher. And we had 2 incidences in the last few years in one section, PNW in the Pacific Northwest, where there were allegations, strong allegations against some of the things leadership did in agreement with the board. And then last year, the same thing happened in the Mid-Atlantic section. And we reported about it, and we engaged people in communication about it. And I am not seeing any more of this in these 2 sections. So I assume there was some good result from my reporting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to have transparency, especially because the USDA is a non-for-profit organization, you know, and I guess when it comes to all the financial stuff, it's imperative that there is transparency.
And I want leadership to treat their staff right. If they don't, I'll put it out. I'll post it.
That's a big undertaking. You know, what I really enjoy about your newsletter is that I feel like I'm reading an insider's edition of the tennis business news. It's very juicy and entertaining. You guys really go out there and polish about things that you won't really read anywhere else, like you said. And that's what makes it interesting. And some people have very strong opinions about the governing bodies of tennis, you know, the USTA. There's some others that are mentioned throughout the newsletter. And, you know, these opinions are reflected in the opinion articles. I wonder if you ever hear back from these organizations. Do they ever try to defend or explain themselves? Not that they have to, but I think it would be valuable and interesting to also hear from the other side, you know, of why they do things that the way that.
Yeah, from the national, it was only one person who ever picked up the phone and called several times. And that was Mike Dowsey, the former CEO, who was only there for like a year and a half or so, engaged in a conversation, and it was very good conversation. It was very, very productive in my mind. He asked for my opinion, which is something the USDA is not used to ask for outside opinions. But when you talk about my writing style, I have to tell you, people who know me very well, they always tell me when they read my news, my posts, they hear me speak. They always say that. We hear you speak exactly.
Because you're very straightforward in nature?
Yeah. But coming back to the USDA, I have to tell you that a lot of people in the USDA are very good people.
Yeah, I agree.
No doubt about it. Very, very good people. They have only one thing in mind, is growing tennis.
Yes.
And I need to point this out because not about 95% of them are great. Others are not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the USDA or any organization for that matter. But I do know some people that work for the USDA here in Florida, and they're amazing people. So I think it's important that you say that, because it's not about bashing or embarrassing people. It's about keeping decisions accountable and all with the, mission of growing tennis. And yeah, I see what you're doing, and I think that it is important work. I can't imagine that it's easy, and I'm sure you get all kinds of responses from people. So
I'm
yeah.
glad you mentioned Florida, by the way. I mean, Bowden is fabulous. The whole staff is great. The only beef, not beef, but the only little complaint I always have about Florida is that they have too much staff, in my mind. Compared to other sections, they have sometimes in some areas almost twice as much staff. But they're doing a fabulous job growing tennis in Florida, and I have to give them kudos for that. I think they are the best for one relatively small section.
Yeah, and a lot of volunteers too.
Mm.
A lot of people that volunteer for the organization. How do you think we can best grow tennis in the U.S.?
To make it more fun. I think to make it more fun. It is, for many people, it is not fun, and tennis is not mentioned in the same sentence, especially not for USTA. Although lately the USTA Player Development Program has included that word fun in their vocabulary. I want to say because they read my posts, but fun is basically not in the DNA of the USTA, neither on the national level nor in sections. So that's why they always struggle in excitement. When I talked to Mike Dowser, I always told him, I don't see excitement. I want to see a USTA where people come and say, of any age, especially young people, say, yes, I want to be a part of that organization because it's cool and the sport is cool and I'm excited. They're doing so much great stuff. And people don't say this, never, ever in a million years about the USDA. About others, maybe, but not about the USDA. So
Are
fun.
Are you referring more to juniors or adults or in general?
Basically more juniors and beginners in tennis. That's a big subject I always love to talk about, because I remember from my time working on the USTA Tennis Link team, there was this number that no one could believe, but it was always carried over as a true number. At that time in 2006, 7, 8, 9, they said that over 80% of adult beginners who start playing tennis as adults leave the sport completely within a year because they are so frustrated and so disappointed. Tennis, as we know, is not exactly a welcoming sport. It's a cliquish sport.
It is.
Perpetuated by USTA league play, which I like and support, but it is the big perpetuator of cliquishness and of unfairness and of cheating and of all sorts of problems in tennis. So we have to be able to capture those adult beginners and make them stay in the sport. And other sports like pickleball have done a marvelous job in capturing adult and senior and super senior beginners. When I remember first time I had the pleasure of meeting a pickleball get-together in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, at a park. This woman played within a whole bunch of people on 2 courts or 4 courts. And she saw me approach, and she came to the fence, and through the fence, she shouted at me and said, "Come on in, we have a paddle for you."
Yes.
We have a paddle for you. When did this ever happen in tennis? Tell me.
Because it's very clicky, like you said, it's all based on level. Nobody wants to play with someone that has less skills, and everybody has an inflated sense of their own skills at the same time. So it makes it, very difficult for the sport itself to be open, to new players. And I think pickleball is like that now, but pickleball is growing a lot, and I think eventually it's going to become like tennis.
It has started already.
Yeah.
Two reasons. One of them is that the players become as cliquish as tennis players, and then don't accept beginners easily into the sport. And especially when the levels get higher, there's very much a cliquish environment. And the other thing is that the need for courts is so big that many people can't find ways to play until they are willing to wait a long time, stand in line. And it's a problem for the pros as well, because the tennis pros who are being engaged in teaching pickleball, they want to teach, but those courts are needed for the players to play. There is definitely a problem in pickleball, and it's going to grow unless they have a way of building thousands of courts quickly in the next few years.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you had in mind when you said that pickleball is doing it right by making it fun? Is there like certain types of events that you can think of, or anything in particular that they're doing that's making it more fun and appealing to beginners?
Yeah, for many people of any age, it is everything that doesn't require you to run a lot and to move a lot and to take lessons, a lot of lessons to become better in any sport is more fun, for sure. I can see, for instance, the Pickleball Association, they want to phase out a lot of the older people because they want to leave that stigma behind of being an old folks sport. So they focus on high school kids, they focus on college kids, and they want to make this sport look younger. There's, for instance, a new pickleball magazine, and they only exclusively have very young people in all their ads and all on the cover and so forth. They don't want to see any more old people. So that's So that's one of the issues that the kids like, that they don't have to work that hard to learn something, and still are out there and making and appearing like a tennis player. And the tennis pros, for them, that's a different issue. Yes, many tennis pros are able to make some extra money being pickleball pros as well, and many tennis pros who immediately excel when they start playing pickleball. They're growing, their curve of learning is like 1 hour, and then they have it. So they can actually make money, many of them playing in pro tournaments. But I think the main reason why the average tennis pro likes pickleball is because they are getting sort of bored in tennis. They get burned out in tennis. They love it to do something new, something that looks like tennis, feels like tennis, but isn't tennis, and doesn't require that much work.
Yeah. I don't fully understand that. I'm not there yet. Me personally, like, I play pickleball and I play it somewhat regularly. I enjoy playing it, but to me, I'm still at a point where I just have so much more fun playing tennis. And to me, nothing feels as good hitting a tennis ball. Hitting a pickleball is not nearly as satisfying to me. So when I see young tennis players that are good tennis players playing pickleball, I'm like, why? I just don't fully get it, because to me, it's like, just go play tennis. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not there yet.
A good group for pickleball to recruit right now is college tennis players. The ones that do not want to put in the work and go on a pro tour or do anything of that nature. They immediately excel on a pro level in pickleball. They can make money on the side. They can make like thousands of dollars every weekend if they want to. There are so many tournaments now, pro. Yeah. So if they put a little bit effort in it, not as much as in tennis, but a little bit effort, they can make some good, solid money on the side and have a full-time job.
And compete and all the benefits.
But I tell you one thing, my new company, Conga Sports, we have 2 unpublished mission statements. that you don't find in any of our documents or on the website. The one of them is we will be 10 times better than the USTA. That's the first one. The second one is we will not play pickleball. We will not offer pickleball. We will not we will not be involved in pickleball at any level. So we are a tennis organization, period.
And why?
In the beginning, I always said tennis is the low-hanging fruit for me. Man, I know so many tennis clubs and tennis pros, and I was so involved in tennis for so many years. Although I play pickleball, I played it a few times and I like it. It's great. It's fun, but it's not anywhere near the fun I have playing tennis with my group here in Southern California. And there's enough work to do. And I think if I do a good job, we can put a little bit dent into the pickleball hype that is out there right now. You know, there's this big hype that they have 32 million players or something, which is all hogwash, of course. There's 8.9 million players. And everything is so much hype in pickleball as well as in tennis, of course. I don't believe any more of the numbers.
How do you feel about the tennis industry transitioning to a rackets industry? That's been made very popular lately, and a lot of the tennis director jobs now are director of rackets jobs, and we're expected now to know not just pickleball, but platform tennis, padel. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely positive. Our readers are mostly tennis professionals and club owners and tennis directors, and maximizing their potential, maximizing their court use and their pros work and employment every week is important. Making extra money is very important. So I wholeheartedly support all this, no doubt about it, unless they want to take the tennis courts away. I do not support that. I'm a supporter of this get your own damn courts movement. But as far as clubs and pros are concerned, no problem whatsoever. Go and do whatever you can to keep your club profitable or make it profitable and get more members in. As far as the pickleball playing community is concerned, I mean, anything is better than sitting on the couch or doing nothing or going, I mean, playing video games, and anything is better. So I support that too. Get out there, play pickleball, play tennis, play padel.
Exactly.
Whatever you think is good for you. And any of those sports are good for you.
And we need to get creative in figuring out how to attract all the new people that are coming into pickleball that didn't come from tennis, and try to expose them to tennis, and because they might love it, especially the younger generation. So that's I think the next step.
There's also this little thing called spec tennis. So a lot of pros I know, they are using all of their tools in the toolbox. So one can start players off with spec tennis or with pickleball and give them the option of going into tennis at one point in time. That is always a very good key in my mind. PTR had this strategy actually in a program, Pick 10 or whatever they called it, where the pro sells 10 lessons. The first 3 are pickleball, and then come 3 tennis lessons, and a little more pickleball, and then a little more tennis. So people use pickleball or spec tennis or whatever you want to, pop tennis, for instance, to get into this ball hitting mode, into watching balls and hitting a ball over the net. And then they migrate towards a little bit more skill-based tennis play.
There's so many variations now. I'm not totally familiar with spec. I've heard of pop tennis, never really played it. What is spec tennis?
Spec tennis is similar to pop tennis, but it plays on a court the size of a pickleball court. So the inventor and founder of spec tennis, Nate Gross, has a little niche here. He says we can utilize pickleball courts as the same size, so we can keep those courts busy even when there are no pickleballers. I think it's an okay strategy, no doubt about it. I play spec tennis too every once in a while. and actually one of my advertisers in the newsletter. Great guy.
And is there a kitchen too? Like the lines
No,
are the same?
no. Kitchen
Okay.
is only for pickleball. You don't need kitchen in spec or in pop or in regular tennis, in the real tennis.
Yeah. That's like,
Although there is a real tennis, right? You know, there is another tennis that calls themselves the real tennis. Have you
no,
heard?
I did not know that.
They have about 10 facilities in this country, and the most well-known one is at the International Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island. It's an indoor court. It's hard to explain. You have to just watch it on YouTube. I think it's a wooden type of a ball, more wooden than anything else, and it's a low net. And you get the ball into play by hitting it against the wall, and it rolls against the wall and comes down and is then in play. And then you hit over the net. They say this is the original form of tennis.
Oh my gosh. So
I
many
think the original
variations.
form of tennis was actually a real net, a little lower, and a real court. And what king was that in England who played tennis in this court? That was the most interesting way of playing tennis. You played the king, and if you made a point, you had to wait until the king conceded and said, yes, it's your point. If the king said no, it was not your point.
Wow, great. If you're the king, I guess.
Yeah. It pays to be the king.
Yeah, exactly. Have you played beach tennis at all out there in
Oh, yeah.
California?
That's
Yeah.
fabulous. I love beach tennis.
Yeah. Beach tennis is so fun. I was getting really into it, but too much overhead motion for my shoulder. And I kind of stopped it because it just wasn't good for my shoulder. But I love it. It's so fun. And I know it's really big in California. It's big here in Florida, especially like Southeast Florida is a lot more popular. But yeah, so much fun. So many different ways to hit a ball, huh? So many
Yeah,
sports.
it's a shame that beach tennis is not more popular, although the ITF is actually supporting it. It's one of the ITF supported.
What do you think are the main challenges now facing tennis pros, in your opinion?
Tennis pros right now. The
Is it this whole
burnout,
bracket
I would say right now in Southern California, it's burnout for sure.
burnout?
Yeah. They are so busy, they don't know, they don't want to work that many hours anymore. It is definitely burnout. I remember a few months ago when I do tournaments for lower level players and returners, this program I call Start Restart. And there is a clinic in there called a booster clinic, where starters who have a little bit of a stroke knowledge already, a skill they know how to hit over the net, they know how to serve, or returners who have been out of the game for a long time and want to get back into the game, they come to my booster clinics, and which is actually most of it is giving them practice in hitting practice and in strategy, in double strategy. So I had a booster clinic where I had offered a half-hour serving clinic before the real clinic started. And I was looking for a pro to do that half-hour clinic, and I offered $75, and I could not find any. The pros, or I had the other day, I wanted a pro for another clinic, a 1-hour clinic, and I offered $125, and I couldn't find any.
Wow.
So the burnout in Southern California is definitely there. In other states, maybe too.
I mean, I would agree. I think here in Florida, definitely in the Northeast, is basically the summers that are really, really busy. You know, I don't know if it's a industry problem. I don't know because I feel like as a tennis pro myself, most of the time you're paid by the hour.
Mhm.
So you're incentivized to burn yourself out. There's no other way around it. I mean, if you're not on the court, you're not making money. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's so many other problems around the same issue, and this is the courts are disappearing. So more and more courts are giving way to apartment complexes and condos and so forth. That's another issue that is not a positive issue for tennis pros. Then, of course, sharing your court now with pickleball, more courts are going away and being turned into pickleball courts. That's not helpful. So there are all sorts of things that work against a tennis pro not being burned out. I can only see if the current growth rate of tennis is slowing down tremendously and it goes to pre-2020 levels, that then they can breathe a little easier. But we don't have enough pros, and even if we had more pros, we don't even have enough courts to keep them busy.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I can definitely kind of relate to that. And as a female pro, we always get asked, well, how do we get more female coaches? I'm like, well, I don't have the answer to that, first of all. But second, it's a very physical job. You're out on a court 10 hours. I don't particularly want to be doing that the rest of my life either. Maybe there's some guys that want to be doing that, but certainly not me. So yeah, I don't know if this is just something that we need like a drastic change in the way that pros are compensated. Maybe we need to require more education, certification, and combine that with a better compensation system. But it definitely is not set up for success, you know?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I always lament the fact that they're like 80% of all the tennis pros men. And I look around in the industry and I see that the majority of the decision makers and the business owners and the executives in the industry are all older white men. That's why I'm always saying to anyone who wants to know, I want to be the oldest man in my company. I want to have only younger people around me, and preferably females, because they bring so much more to the game and to the company. I'm building a board of directors right now, and the majorities will be female.
Oh, interesting. So what do you think is the most exciting thing? Let's turn this around a little bit. What do you think is the most exciting thing happening in tennis right now?
The most exciting thing is my new flagship program, City Slams. I tell you that right. On a pro level, it's the UTR Pro Tour, I think, is the most exciting thing. The guy puts a lot of money in it and he knows how to do it, and it works well, not only in this country, in other countries too, I found out. But on a recreational level, in this country, I think it's my flagship program, City Slams. We're going through this phase right now in 2023 that I call the proof of concept phase, the proof of concept year. And if everything goes well until the end of the year, we will expand into other states, and hopefully in maybe 3 or 4 years, we will end up in Florida as well. I already have pros from all over the country emailing me, how can we be involved in City Slams? Because the concept is so unique. You form a team, you play for your city, one team per city.
Oh.
And a team has 8 players, 4 men and 4 women, and they play 2 mixed doubles, 2 men's doubles, and 2 women's doubles. Very short sets. They are being done within like an hour or 2 for an entire round robin tournament. So at the moment here in Southern California, we are forming teams. We're starting to play on the 25th of March, and we are creating, within the next few months, we are creating the Southern California City Slams champion. While this play goes on here, I'm going to Northern California, do the same there, and then we'll have a Northern California champion. And at the end of the year, November, December, we can play both champions against each other for the title of California City Slam State Champion. And then later on in the year, I will be able to go to other states like Arizona and Washington and Oregon and so forth, and start the same there. And I guarantee you one thing. This program will be so successful. It is so media intensive because of the fact that it's so new and so unusual. It will be so successful. Cities will stand in line to support the teams, to pay for the teams to travel to and play other cities. Mark my words.
That's awesome. Can't wait to see how that goes. Do you know, or do you have it already planned, is it going to be UTR based or? NTRP, or how are you going to determine that?
In the beginning, we go NTRP, really, because I'm an NTRP fan. I taught it, right, to the sections. I taught NTRP to 1,100 USTA league coordinators. And although I like UTR, but it's a little bit easier for me and for us here in Southern California to do NTRP because everyone knows it. But that doesn't mean that we won't go into UTR sooner or later. But the most important aspect of what I'm doing is when I started Conga Sports, the premise for me starting Conga Sports was I want to make tennis more affordable for players. Okay, so how can I achieve that? There's one way, and that's the way I'm going. And this is the way of shifting the economic model from the player as a payer to the sponsor as a payer. For instance, when I do a tournament here in Southern California, and let's say the tournament fee is $80, if you sign up for my tournament, I will find you a local sponsor that pays the $80. So you don't have to pay anything. And if I find a sponsor who doesn't want to pay cash, they will at least give you a coupon for their store, for instance, or for their business for at least $80 or more. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is we are a membership-based organization. We just started promoting the membership. So the membership is cheap. It's only $50 a year. If you sign up to become a member in Conga Sports, Head Pen Racket Sports will give you a $50 gift certificate for their products. The same, of course, carries on now with City Slams. The team fee to play City Slams is $400, $50 a person, $400. If you sign up as a team, I will find you a sponsor that will pay those $400. If I can't, I will pay it. So you will play for free. That is what we're doing at Conga Sports.
That's unheard of. I mean, the cost of tennis tournaments is incredible. And if you're a junior player and you're trying to compete and get ready for college, the cost is just insane.
You heard what they charge for the National Open in pickleball as an amateur to participate?
No, how much?
$250 registration fee.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people want to get rich quick in pickleball right now. That's an issue.
That's amazing. What do you think the future holds for tennis teaching, for the tennis teaching profession?
Mm-hmm.
Do you foresee any major changes coming up?
I only see that the demand for tennis professionals is there, and it doesn't seem like it's letting up. But the demand is bigger for female tennis professionals than for males. And I heard recently that the head pros and the tennis director positions pay more for females than for males now. So there's a big area where a lot of females can make a good living if they want that, if they want this type of work. When I look at, I've been to the BNP Paribas last week, and I saw some of the most incredible female players, and I'm thinking, wow, I've never in my life hit a tennis ball as hard as they do. And many of them will maybe not be on the tour anymore in a few years. So these are all candidates for becoming teaching pros, tennis directors, and so forth. And the jobs are there. The jobs are definitely there right now already.
Who's your favorite player right now?
My favorite is Coco Gauff. I always tell everyone, if I could, I would adopt her. She is fabulous. Of course, can she beat Iga is a different question. I think at the moment she can't.
Iga's a beast. She's just incredible. I just saw her play a little bit in a match today, actually. But just her movement, her strength, it's just unreal.
Plays as good and as smart as Steffi Graf did.
The level of fitness that she has, her mental strength, is just, I think she's going to be around for a long time. I really do.
Yeah, I'm partial to Steffi Graf, of course, a little bit. And
Do you
to the
think
men's
is Steffi the GOAT, Rich, or is it Serena?
in women's tennis, I think it's Serena, but Steffi is a close second. I love this entire couple, Steffi and Andre. This is just a great promotion for tennis, both of them.
Yeah, I do too. What has been the Grand Slam moment of your tennis life, and what has been the double bagel moment of your tennis life? So basically, the highest high and the lowest low.
Let's start with the lowest low. A few years ago, I decided to play in a singles league here in Los Angeles, and I play normally at 4 level. So I'm thinking, let's start challenge somewhere in the middle, right in the middle field. They had, I think, 120 players in there, and I started in the middle, like 60. And I challenged this person. I'll never forget his name, Ofer Shalom. And he came on the court and he cleaned me up in 25 minutes, 6-0, 6-0.
Oh no.
So I asked him, how did that happen? I'm not sure. What happened? And he said, well, I'm a 5-5, but I was injured and I'm now just coming back, and I thought I start in the middle. You know what a 5-5 does with a 4-0?
Oh yeah.
Anything he wants to.
Yeah.
So that was my lowest.
That was a literal double bagel.
Yeah. My best was actually at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden at a tennis convention, maybe 10 years ago. 2 female players who were just out of college jocks. They challenged me, I knew one of them, to a set. And I pick your partner, they said, we'll challenge you. And I know I would have had no chance whatsoever against either one of them. So tennis pro, I know, and many people know, standing next to me, he teaching pro. I said to him, hey, do you think we should do this? And he says, oh yeah, we will do that. And so we went on the court, and he said to me, what is your level? I said, 4-0. He said, okay, here's what we do. Do you like volleying? Do you like the net? I said, yeah, that's the thing I like. He said, okay, you stay at the net. You don't look back what I do. You just concentrate on your volleys. And he says, when I serve, the minute my serve hits the box on the other side, you move. Doesn't matter how you move. You move. And we won very handsomely. And these 2 women couldn't believe what was happening. This is, by the way, I read a lot of books on tennis, and this is one of the things the Bryan brothers always say in their book. When your partner serves and the serve hits the other box, you move. Doesn't matter how you move. Unless you don't want to be a clown, of course, because you don't want to be a hindrance, but you move. Even if it's only subtle, you move.
No gamesmanship, but maybe pinch in the middle a little bit more. I think there's a huge advantage to that.
That was my highlight, to beat these 2 former D1 college players with my partner, James, I forgot his name, Jameson.
Do you remember the score?
6-2 or 6-1 or something.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Rich. I really feel like most of your content is for tennis pros, and I can certainly appreciate that. I think it is important for us pros to have a lot of free resources. And that's kind of why I also started this podcast. So I want this to be for the pros. So thank you for all that you do, for all that free content and everything that you do. That has to take so much time. This is an incredible newsletter. Thank you for all that important work that you do, because it is important. And what is the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you after they listen to this, or they want to look you up?
Well, thank you for your kind words. Yeah, tennis pros are, of course, my readers, and that's what I care about most. The easiest way is to email me, of course. It's Rich Neher at tennisclubbusiness.com. or just reply to the tennis newsletter. If you just hit reply, then you get to my email address.
Okay. Oh, easy enough.
Yeah. And thank you for having me on your podcast. That was really nice.
Of course. Thank you. And hopefully we'll have you back sometime and you can tell us in a year how was it called? Slam City? Am I saying
City
that wrong?
Slams.
City Slams. I was close. City
So
Slams.
when are you going back to, what is it, Vermont or Massachusetts?
Martha's Vineyard, yeah, in Massachusetts. Yeah. It's usually Memorial through Labor Day, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, I'll be heading up there in May, end of May.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe one of these days you want to be involved with City Slams in Tampa.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when we are there, when we are at your doorstep.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rich. Thank you all for listening to Vida Tennis. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Rich. If somehow you're not familiar with his newsletter, make sure to look it up and visit their website at tennisclubbusiness.com. You can actually access all of the past monthly issues in there. Please remember to subscribe so you get notified when new episodes are posted. You can follow Vida Tennis on Instagram. Our handle is simply Vida Tennis Podcast. You can also email me at vidatennispodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to leave me a review and share our content with fellow tennis professionals. I hope you have a fantastic day filled with tennis.